Good morning, everybody. My name is Sheridan, Macon.
And I'm Ginger Anders.
And this is All the Web's a Stage, Performance, the Online Experience, and Personal Identity, our honors project for the spring of 2025.
So at the beginning of this project, we were trying to decide our topic, and we found that we were both interested in the online experience of performance and personal identity in real life settings as performance as well, but performance defined as the act of staging or presenting, making people see what you want them to see. So online, this is what you're posting about, how you're posting about it, what is your icon, these sort of things. And then in real life, how you dress, how you talk, what you're talking about with certain people, and how you change that speech. And when we were doing our research, we found there was a lot of academic research about one of these things, and then the other one, and same thing for art, but we couldn't find anything that found this overlap of performance between the two and talked about that, and so we seek to fill that gap.
So, in order to, our mission, fill the gap, we decided to do what we know best. Ginger is a visual artist, and I myself am a written artist, and so we decided to, in order to achieve our goal of invoking empathy in viewers, regardless of their own personal identity on the issue of personal identity and online experiences performance, that we would both do art. Ginger would create pieces of visual art, and I would create pieces of written art to express and invoke that empathy through symbol and metaphor, which is what we know how to do best. So after we came up with what we wanted to do, we had to come up with how we wanted to do it, and in the timeline that we created, we decided that in January we would create our first piece, in February we would create our second piece. March was relegated to piece revisions, so we would give each other feedback and change our pieces based on that feedback that we gave each other. And April was for building our website, which I will get to later, I promise. And then our team roles ended up falling pretty simply into place. Ginger would create her 2 visual creative pieces, I would create my 2 written creative pieces, she would build the website as she is far better at technology than I, and I would create the written pieces for the website and come in to help proofread the website as it was finished.
And so, obviously, our processes were very different as we work in 2 very different mediums. So my process looks a lot more like starting with a concept sketch and then taking reference photos from that concept sketch, and then from there putting those into Photoshop to create my final reference image, and then drawing from that reference image, painting from that reference image, and finishing off with colored pencil in order to redefine all the shapes.
Writing is a little less physically labor intensive. My process, especially at the beginning, involved a lot of sitting down at my computer. In January it was nice, so I was able to sit outside and just thinking really hard and getting it down on the page. When it came to the production aspect with what my second piece became, spoilers, and what I ended up doing with my first piece as well, that ended up being a little bit more physical. I included a lot of the process photos for my second piece. That's Ink the Cat at the Family Bookstore, which is one of the locations featured in my second piece. And the process for that was a lot of just layout and arranging and creating the components and going on my little adventure, which I'll talk about in a minute. So Let's Play Pretend, which was my first piece, is a dual monologue. A monologue is typically spoken by one person, and a dialogue is 2 people talking to each other. A dual monologue lives in the fun space between the 2, where there are 2 people talking together about one shared experience. Let's Play Pretend explores the online experience across the generations. So Jane, a millennial, and Spike, a Gen Z, talk about their experience. Jane on AOL Instant Messenger, or AIM, and Spike playing online games, specifically Club Penguin. The 2 of them discuss their experience playing these games and one day making the decision to pretend to be a man, because online you can pretend to be whoever you want to be. And the 2 discuss their experience and how that made them feel. And at the end of the day, they stopped doing that eventually as they grew up, but they make the connection with playing pretend online, with sharing their lives on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. And is it really playing pretend if everybody else does it on social media too?
For my 2 pieces, I was heavily inspired by some of the arts that we looked at when we were doing our research, specifically works that use horror and body horror as a means of representing the repercussions mentally of performing, especially when you don't realize you're performing. And so I really wanted to create confusion within the viewer about which of the figures in these pieces are the performed self, which one is the authentic self, which one is the online self, and which one is the offline self. I also wanted to leave some small symbols that were referential to the internet and digital spaces. So in Failed Opaqueness, having the little cursor in the eye as the highlight, and then in Immersion having these geometric square shapes being representative of pixels.
Me on the Map and My Life on Your Feed did not start like this. It started as a monologue based on the digital online archive, story-based and location-based, Queering the Map, which features stories that users can come on, place a pin on the map, and write their story about their career experience and their career journey anonymously. There are 9 Queering the Map pins in DeLand, Florida, and I decided to connect them all, pulling text verbatim and also adapting them to connect them all to create one story spoken by a woman named Henry. During the revision process though, Ginger pointed out that a lot of those sections of the monologues read a lot like Instagram captions, and so I decided to go on a little adventure around DeLand. All of the pictures that are in the Instagram posts are pictures that I took on my little scavenger hunt for photos around DeLand, and then I created Instagram posts for all of them, and then printed them out and put them on the map, and connected them to the map with tacks and with yarn to make it look like something that, say, somebody would have on a corkboard in their bedroom. And the purpose of them being Instagram posts and in relation to real life locations was to explore that boundary between real and fake and online and in real life. For a lot of queer people, the person who you are in real life and who you present yourself as is not your authentic self. And in fact, the person who you present online, on Instagram, on Facebook, on other social medias, is your authentic self. And oftentimes the expectation, especially from people who don't have that experience, is that it's the other way around. And that sometimes the person who you present online is more authentic than the person who you're allowed to be in real life. So, honoring Queering the Map and the idea of a digital archive, the two of us created a website. It was mostly Ginger who created the website, I will be frank, called allthewebsastage.card.co, which is an archive that will live forever of our artworks and a little bit more information about us. Included on the website is a link to Queering the Map, as well as a link to the audio recorded version of Let's Play Pretend, which was done by myself and a Stetson staff member who I love very dearly named Reed Barkowitz. The two of us work very well together as performers, and I hope that hearing it as well as reading it gives you a better experience of the fast-paced and storytelling nature of the dual monologue. And so on .card.co, a website will live forever past our presentation time ending at 11 a.m. And so hopefully people will be able to find this, even people who weren't at this presentation today, and be able to see art that either connects with their experiences or teaches them a little bit more about authenticity online and in real life.
So one of the great things about this project was that we got to work together despite having two very different mediums that we work in, and really get this experience of working with somebody in a medium different than you on a shared project with a shared theme. And so our feedback for each other, I think, was very enlightening. I'm used to getting feedback that is very technique heavy, very, oh, your composition could be better here, why didn't you use these colors? When this time I got more thematic types of feedback, or things that I just regularly wouldn't get to hear. And the same the other way around, as was obvious with this piece over here. And so that was a really great experience, As well, we got to learn about what a reasonable workload looks like for a 4-month time frame. We started out very bold and wanted to do 4 pieces each, and quickly learned that that was not a reasonable expectation. We are both students that do creative work for academic work, and so having to do more creative pieces on top of that academic work led to burnout very quickly, and we quickly realized that we needed to scale back, and that was not a sign of failure or anything such. In fact, it was the best thing that we could do for this project, as trying to push ourselves to do more pieces that would not be as high quality or would be there really just to say that we did 4 pieces would only make our project worse in the end.
This project was also a really good opportunity for us to explore our sweet spot, which is the connection, the middle point between personal interest, academic interest, and career goals. A lot of the time when you're doing research for your academics, you don't get to explore things that you're personally very passionate about. Ginger and I are both very passionate about works, artistic works that explore the ideas that we got to explore in our project. And so getting the time and the allocated hours and project and deadlines to encourage us to do like deep research on things that we care about very dearly, and to actually get to apply them to a project that had a tangible end goal, a presentation attached to them, was very, very wonderful at scratching that nice sweet spot itch, to nestling this project right into where it fits best for us. Thank you so much for attending our presentation. And on our next slide is our abstract.